Hey, welcome to Quick Answers with Craig. This is a simple way to encourage others to answer the questions that people are asking. Now, when you hear that phrase, Quick Answers with Craig, it's often the misassumption that quick answers mean simple answers. They're not necessarily simple answers. They're actually complex answers to really complex situations that we face in our culture, but they're just done in truncated time frames, right? Smaller time frames. And today's question is going to be multi-parts. And so there's going to be multiple videos really committed to this one. And this one is not detached from any of us emotionally. Now, for me personally, having dealt and ministered to people throughout the years that are dealing with something what we call same-sex attraction, SSA, right? I have done years and years of engaging and investing and speaking to them about the issues they deal with. And so I wanted to share with you what I consider some real keys to recovery from same-sex attraction, okay? Another way we could say this is support for those who are struggling with homosexuality. Now, while I'm confident that the things I'm going to tell you are accurate, I'm very aware that it can be overwhelming. So it's kind of like handing a newborn baby a list of all things he's going to have to learn in the first 5 years, right? Everything from turning over, learning to walk, being potty trained, learning to talk, discovering he's not a part of his mommy, learning how to obey, getting ready to bed, going to school, like I said, overwhelming. And so this is a big picture goal of how to walk out the goal of recovery. So I want you to allow me to encourage you to continually ask the Lord. For those that are watching and you really want recovery in this area, you have to ask the Lord, what one thing do you want me to do next? And then do that. Now, with that being said, let's talk about the first 3 steps that I would say to support those who are struggling with homosexuality. Number 1, you have to accept that it's not going to be easy, right? It's not going to be easy. Any change that challenges our known comfort zone is always going to be painful and difficult. And when you're dealing with issues of sexuality, you're not just changing one isolated habit. You're changing a collection of thoughts and behaviors that have made up your relational pattern for a long time, depending on how long you've dealt with this. I think one of the most important concepts of recovery is changing the wrong belief that your identity about your identity, that same-sex attraction is you. I often tell people, listen, the one who didn't create you doesn't get to tell you who you are, doesn't get to tell you your identity. And the enemy of your soul, therefore, has no capacity, no authority to tell you. God tells you who you are. And so if you're going to change your identity, this understanding that homosexuality is not me, it's not the deepest, what's most basic about me, it's going to take an incredible, and I mean that, incredible amount of effort. But you don't have to do it in your own strength. You do it in the same power that raised Christ from the dead, okay? If you are to succeed in that, you're going to have to aggressively, and this isn't aggressive, you're going to have to aggressively engage your will, meaning you're going to have to make deliberate choices to honor God, to be self-disciplined, and to work with God. It is a partnership to form these new healthy habits of not just believing, but then relating to other people. Here's the second one, and this is really big in our key to recovery from same-sex attraction. Number 2, you have to pursue the right motivation. Man, this is big. So listen to me. If you want to get well, you want to change, you want that to be different, making your family happy won't be a strong enough motivation. So I've dealt with this a lot in married couples. Maybe you're watching today and you're married and you feel like, oh, it's already too late. I could no way confess this to my spouse. How in the world would I get out of this? Well, my family maybe has found out about it. And so now I'm going to change this because my family needs to be happy. No, saving your marriage won't do it. Not hurting anymore won't do it. Listen to me, I want to say this with clarity, the only motivation adequate to see you through recovery from same-sex attraction is a complete abandonment to the aching need to live continually in an incredibly intimate one-on-one relationship with God Himself. That strong and that tender relationship with Him, knowing Him, being wholly known by Him, without anything coming between the two of you, is the pure and primary relationship that you were actually created for. Listen, for most people with same-sex attraction, I always tell them it's why you crave deep relationships so badly. It's why you crave them. And listen, it's worth every obedient step of pursuit, no matter how painful or difficult that pursuit may become. Now listen, to go along with that, you can only be loved to the extent that you are known. meaning the parts of my life that I'm not willing to disclose to the people that want to hold me accountable, they can't love that part out of me. So if that part is wounded and can't receive the life of God, the healing of God, because I'm unwilling to disclose it. And so I can only be known, loved to the extent I'm known. I often say to be 99% free is to be 100% bound, meaning you think, oh, it's just that 1% that you're bound up in. That 1% is going to be okay. You're better than other people, but that 1% becomes the hinge point that disables you from believing that you're actually really loved by God, because you'll think, oh, people love me, but if they knew that 1%, they really wouldn't love me anymore. And that's the hinge point that the enemy uses to keep you in shame and condemnation. So number 2, you have to pursue the right motivation. Here's number 3 in our recovery from same-sex attraction. You have to accept that you must make sacrifices to be healthy and free. Listen, recovery and anything, any habit, and healing always involves crucifying the flesh. Galatians 5:24, I have to crucify the flesh daily, which means I have to give up the things that are really dear to me, but which serve to open or prop open doors to spiritual bondage and the repeated failures of cycle. So listen to me. God may ask you to give up friends. That's okay. God may ask you to give up social contacts. That's okay. God may ask you to give up your career. He may ask you to give up your hobbies, your dreams, your desires. There is suffering and sacrifice to get to the joy of holiness and purity. But let me tell you, God lavishes grace on His children, right, when we ask Him. Listen, where sin abounds, Romans says, grace does much more abound there. So whatever you surrender, God will always provide a better replacement according to God's definition of better. Now, you remember when God told the prophet Jeremiah to go down in Jeremiah 18 to the potter's house, He was going to teach him a lesson. When he got there, he saw that the potter, which was a representative of God, was taking the clay and he was forming the pottery to the best as what seemed best to the potter. And when that pottery clay was getting dry on that wheel, he would reach down and take some water, the potter's hands, and he would form it and make us malleable again. And God says to the prophet Jeremiah, listen to me, so you are in the hands of me. And He says this, if you'll leave the choice up to God, God will always give you the best. So that's the first 3 steps of recovery to same-sex attraction. Thank you so much for following today. Quick Answers with Craig. If you haven't hit subscribe, make sure you do so. You can also hit the bell to stay up to date with all notifications. We'll see you next time.